Despite the questions surrounding Maegor Targaryen's ascension to the throne, King Aenys' son, Prince Aegon, and his daughter, Princess Rhaena, remained at Casterly Rock under the protection of the Lannisters. Most of the knights and lords who had joined them on their royal progress had rushed back to King's Landing to bend the knee. All of his life, Prince Aegon had been the heir to the Iron Throne, but suddenly he found himself abandoned by many he thought were his friends. Maegor's supporters grew by the day, and the common sentiment was Aegon was his father's son, suggesting the boy possessed the same weaknesses that brought down his father, King Aenys. They pointed out that Aegon had never ridden a dragon, while Maegor had claimed Balerion the Black Dread. Even his wife, the Princess Rhaena Targaryen, had a dragon of her own, Dreamfire. The fact his mother, Queen Alyssa, had attended Maegor's third wedding was proof to many that she had abandoned her son's cause. Though Lyman Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, refused to hand Aegon over to Maegor, he didn't go as far as to pledge his allegiance to him. It was at Casterly Rock that Princess gave birth to Aegon's daughters, twins they named Eria and Rhaella. The High Septon decreed the girls abominations born of incest and a curse of the gods. The Maester at Casterly Rock claimed that after the birth, Rhaena begged her husband and brother to take them all across the narrow sea, anywhere beyond their uncle's reach. She said she would willingly give up Aegon's right to be king, if only to keep their girls safe, but her pleas fell on deaf ears as Prince Aegon was determined to claim his birthright. The start of the year 43 AC saw Maegor take personal charge of the construction of the Red Keep. Any work that was almost finished was undone or changed in some way. New builders and workmen were hired, and secret tunnels and passages crept through the depths of Aegon's high hill. As the Red Towers rose, the king commanded the building of a keep within the castle, surrounded by a dry moat that would become known as Maegor's Holdfast. Lord Harroway, the father of Maegor's second wife, Alice, was named as his new hand, but in reality he had very little power. People whispered that the queens truly ruled the realm. His mother, the Dowager Queen Visenya, Queen Alice Harroway, and the Pentoshi sorceress, Queen Tyanna, who was also known as the king's mistress of whisperers. It was said she spoke with the spiders and rats of King's Landing, and all the city's vermin came to her by night to tell tales on anyone who spoke against the king. Thousands of poor fellows still haunted the roads, the Reach, Riverlands and Vale, but they would never arise in large numbers again. The new leaders could not be distinguished from common outlaws. The warriors' sons, however, chose Sir Joffrey Doggett as their new leader, whose sole goal was to restore the order to their former glory. When he set out for Lannisport to seek the blessing of the High Septon, 100 rode with him. By the time he got to Oldtown, so many knights had joined him that the numbers had grown to the thousands. Elsewhere in the realm, other restless lords and men of the faith were gathering as well. None of this had gone unnoticed. Ravens flew across the realm, summoning all those with doubtful loyalties to King's Landing to bend the knee and deliver a son or daughter as a hostage, and membership of the Poor Fellows and Warriors' Sons would now be punishable by death. The High Septon was also commanded to deliver himself to the Red Keep to stand trial for high treason. King Maegor let the issue fester for almost half a year, as he was so focused on the building of the Red Keep. The Dowager Queen made the first move, when she mounted Vhagar and brought fire and blood to the Riverlands, as she had once done in Dorne. In a single night, the seat of House Blaintree, Terrick, Deddings, Leicester and Wayne was set aflame. Then Maegor himself flew to the Westerland, where he burned the castle of the Brooms, the Farwells, the Lorches, and many others who had defied his summons. Lastly, he descended upon the seat of House Doggett, reducing it to ash. The fires claimed the life of the new captain of the Warriors' Son's father, mother, and younger sister, as pillars of smoke rose throughout the Westerlands and the Riverlands. Vhagar and Balerion turned south. Lord of the Hightower, had opened the gates of Oldtown to Aegon during the conquest. Now it seemed the greatest and most populous city in Westeros was to burn. Thousands fled Oldtown, while just as many took to the streets in drunken revelry. In the starry set, the High Septon railed and thundered, calling down the wrath of the gods upon the Targaryens. The archmaesters of the citadel met in a conclave. The men of the city watch filled sacks with sand and pails with water to fight the fires they knew would be coming at dawn. Led by Sir Morgan Hightower, a younger brother of the Lord of Oldtown, 200 warriors' sons spilled forth from their chapter house to defend the High Septon, surrounding the starry set with a ring of steel. Atop the High Tower, the great beacon fire turned green, as Lord Martin Hightower called his banners. As the sun rose, the dragons came. Vhagar first, then Balerion arrived just before midday, but they found the gates of the city open, the battlements unarmed, and the banners of House Targaryen, Tyrell, and House Hightower flying side by side atop the city walls. The Dowager Queen Visenya was first to learn of the news. Sometime during that long night, the High Septon had died. Some say he took his own life, in what was either an act of cowardice, afraid to face the wrath of Maegor, or a noble sacrifice to spare the people of Oldtown from dragonfire. Many remain certain he was murdered. Some say it was Sir Morgan Hightower at the command of his lord brother. The archmaesters of the citadel were also suspected. It's still a matter of some debate to this day, and there are others who hold them all blameless, and lay the High Septon's death at the door of another rumoured sorceress, the Queen Dowager Visenya herself. As soon as word reached Lord Martin at the Hightower, he dispatched his own knights to disarm and arrest the warrior's sons, among them his own brother. The city gates were opened and the Targaryen banners raised. Even before Vhagar's wings were sighted, Lord Hightower's men were rousing the most devout from their beds and marching them to the starry sceptred spear point to choose a new High Septon, a High Septon that would be willing to bless Maegor as the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms. Visenya soon returned to Dragonstone, but King Maegor remained in Oldtown for almost half a year, presiding over trials. To the warrior's sons a choice was given. If they renounced their allegiances, they would be permitted to travel to the Wall and live out their days as brothers of the Night's Watch. Those who refused could die as martyrs to their faith. 3/4 of the captives chose to take the black. The remainder died. King Maegor himself removed their heads with blackfire. Only one man received a full royal pardon, Sir Morgan Hightower. During his stay at Oldtown, the king was also reconciled with his first wife, Queen Cerys, the sister of his host. Queen Cerys agreed to accept the king's other wives, to treat them with respect and honour, and speak no further ill will against them, while Maegor swore to restore Cerys all her rights, income and privileges due to her as his wedded wife and queen. How long King Maegor stayed at Oldtown is not known, but in the latter part of 43 AC, another challenge to his throne arose. Maegor's long absence from King's Landing had not gone unnoticed by Prince Aegon, who was quick to seize his chance. Emerging from Castle Rock, Aegon the Uncrowned and his wife, Rhaena Targaryen, raced across the Riverlands with a handful of companions and entered King's Landing, concealed beneath sacks of corn. Aegon dared not seat himself upon the Iron Throne yet, as he knew he could not hold it. They were there for Rhaena's dragon, Dreamfire, and so that Aegon could claim his father Aenys' dragon, Quicksilver. They were aided by friends in Maegor's own court who had grown weary of the king's cruelty. They quickly made their departure on Dragonback. Aegon and Rhaena returned to the Westerlands to assemble an army. The Lannisters of Castle Rock were still reluctant to openly back Prince Aegon, but his followers did gather at Pink Maiden, seat of House Piper. John Piper, Lord of Pink Maiden, had pledged his swords to the prince, but it's believed that it was his sister, Melanie, Rhaena's girlhood friend, who won them to the cause. The lords and knights who followed Aegon were mostly Westermen and Riverlords. However, some Vale lords came as well, and the Conningtons of Griffin's Roost in the Stormlands. From Lannisport came 500 men under the banner of a bastard son of Lyman Lannister, Sir Tyler Hill, which was a cunning ploy by Lord of Castle Rock to lend supporters to the young prince while still keeping his own hands clean. Interestingly, the Piper levies were not led by Lord John or his brothers, but their sister, Melanie, who donned man's mail and took up a spear. 15,000 men had joined the rebellion as Aegon the Uncrowned began his march across the Riverlands to stake his claim to the Iron Throne, led by the prince himself on King Aenys' beloved Quicksilver. Though their ranks include seasoned commanders and knights, no great lords had rallied to Prince Aegon's cause, but Queen Tyanna, Mistress of Whisperers, wrote to warn Maegor that Storm's End, the Eyrie, Winterfell and Castle Rock had all been in secret communication with his brother's widowed queen, Alyssa. They said, before declaring for the Prince of Dragonstone, they wished to be convinced he might prevail. Therefore, Prince Aegon required victory. Despite Tyanna's lie, Maegor would deny his nephew that victory. From Harrenhal came Lord Harroway, from Riverrun, Lord Tully. Sir Davos Darkland of the Kingsguard marshalled 5,000 swords in King's Landing and struck out west to meet the rebels. Up from the Reach came Lord Peake, Lord Merryweather, Lord Caswell, and their levies. Prince Aegon's slow-moving host found armies closing in on them from all sides, each of them smaller than their own, but so many that the young prince, still only 17, did not know what to do. Lord Corbury advised him to engage each of the foes separately before they could join their powers together, but Aegon didn't want to divide his strength. Instead, he chose to carry on his march to King's Landing. This decision would prove to be a fatal one for Aegon the Uncrowned, and the coming battle would be a bloody one, forever remembered in history.